So the Wilds of Eldraine set is now out, and at the beginning of the set, you might be wondering how you can best build your collection of the set to be able to play as many constructed games as possible, making a variety of decks, and maybe even playing different formats. So I'm going to go through my process of how I'm intending to unlock as many cards as possible using a mix of draft events and packs. So if you want to follow along with the way that I'm going to do this, I think it's a really good strategy. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're going to go through the best way, how I feel is the best way to build a collection of the new Wilds of Eldraine set. And we're going to go through like when certain events happen and when you can, when you should open packs and when you should do all different things. So first of all, for building a collection, the absolute basics, which most of you probably know already, but just in case you don't, you want to complete your daily quests, you can get 500 gold daily quests, or you could get 750 gold daily quests. You can re-roll the 500s, try to get the 750s. You want to complete them. You don't have to do it every day, but like every 3 days at least, make sure you've completed them, and you'll be able to get a good amount of gold building up. You've got your daily wins. Your first daily win will give you 250 gold. Your second, third, and fourth will give you 100 gold each. And then after that, the rewards start to drop off. So 4 wins is kind of ideal because you'll get 550 gold from that. You can do more if you have time, if you want to. But that's the best way to kind of build up a store of gold that you can use for the events and for the packs. And you want to get, ideally, at least 15 wins in a week to be able to maximize your XP, which goes towards your mastery pass. So those are the absolute basics, but you might be wondering like what events do you do and how do you approach that. So this is what I'm going to do. You go to limited, you can see limited events. You can see we have sealed Wilds of Eldraine and we have Premier Draft Wilds of Eldraine. Now I do much better in Premier Draft than I do in sealed, and that's generally what I recommend because you get draft tokens where you can enter Premier Drafts for free or discounted rates, and you can pay in gold if you don't have enough gems, whereas sealed you have to pay in gems. And I mean, they're pretty similar to be honest, but I quite like drafting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do as many drafts as I can up to a certain limit to be able to build up my initial collection. So I've got 3 draft tokens on this account. I'm going to use those. That will get me 3 drafts. I'll get as many wins as I can in Premier Draft. Now I recommend Premier Draft if you're used to drafting, or if you've done some drafting before and you think you've got a good chance of getting at least 3 wins. So my win rate is roughly 60%, although I still have some events that I might get 0 wins. So it does happen. It's a risk. That's just part of the game. But if you think you might get at least 3 wins, because the gems scale up from that point, it's much better. So 50 gems for 0 wins, 100 gems for 1 win, 250 gems for 2 wins, and you go up to 1,000 gems for 3 wins, and then 1,400, and it just goes up and up. And you get, well, up to 2,200 gems and 6 packs for 7 wins. Now, considering it only costs 1,500 gems to enter, or even less if you're using draft tokens because they're discounted, then you're getting not only the cards from the draft and the cards in those packs, but you're getting a profit of gems as well. So if you're really, really good at drafting, you can practically do this forever and just keep building up more and more packs. And that's what some people do to unlock a whole set. So if you're really good at drafting, just do that and you'll unlock the whole set. And then you don't even need to spend any gold on packs or anything at all. You just unlock all of them by doing this. If you can. I'm not quite that good at draft, but you know, I get a good amount of return on it compared to just buying packs to start with. Now, before you do any Premier drafts, I'd recommend you do some research on the set. So you can see here that there are some examples of the 2 color pairs and the types of deck you might want to make and the synergies. that work in those colors. And I'd also recommend looking at some limited set reviews or limited guides for Eldraine. I don't have one of my own, and I've got lots of other things I need to produce, lots of other videos I want to make, so I don't have time to make a whole draft review of the set, a draft guide of the set. But the one I recommend you check out, the one that I tend to look at, is Nikolai Bolas here on YouTube. So I'll put a link to Nikolai's video in my description, so you can go and have a look at that. It's a really, really good way of getting to know the set. You get to see like top commons and combos, and maybe some things to avoid in the draft. And you're going to learn a lot from that. And that's going to help you get as many wins as possible in the draft events. Now, if you happen to have a second account, which I have a second account, you might want to do some drafts on the second account first, just to get some practice before you're putting your main resources at risk. But if you don't, you can just go ahead and start doing some of those. So the Premier Draft is available from day one. It's there, and I believe it's there and open, available for the whole life of the set. I'm pretty sure it was for the last one, for Lord of the Rings. And before that, as far as I'm aware, the Premier Draft is always available. So you can just carry on doing this whenever. But to maximize the amount of rares that you can get from the set, the rares and mythics, the best way to collect it is to do all your drafts as early as possible, and then you want to open your packs when you're done with drafting. Now, exactly how many drafts you want to do, people have asked me this question even recently. I think I might have probably mentioned it before in other videos, but just to clarify, what I would do is, it may be different to what you would do. Like, it is subjective. I would either go until I've used up my draft tokens and used up any gems that I've won in those drafts. So if I do 3 Premier drafts using my draft tokens, and let's just say I get an average of 3 wins, so I'm going to get 1,000 gems for each of those drafts. So I'm going to have 3,000 gems more than I have now. I've got 2,700, so I'll have almost 6,000 gems. Now I could enter another 4 Premier drafts with those 6,000 gems, and from those 4 Premier drafts I might win another 4,000 gems, and so I could enter another 2 and win some more gems and enter another 2. So I could keep going until I've run out of steam, until I've run out of resources, and then at that point what I would probably do is open up my packs. You can set yourself a target, like I'm going to do 5 drafts or 10 drafts, or you can keep going until maybe you just get bored of drafting, because you start to see the same kind of decks over and over again, and you want to see how they're going to interact with other standard sets rather than just playing Wilds of Eldraine in a bubble. Or you might just keep going until you see the same rares coming up in the draft, and maybe you've already got 4 copies of a rare, and then you open that in your first draft pack, and then you can pick it, but you're only going to get gems instead of getting the rare. So it's not ideal, it's not going to be the best way of building a collection if you're just getting a small amount of gems back instead of getting a new rare card. It would be even better for you in terms of maximizing duplicate protection and not wasting individual card rewards that you get from the Mastery Pass or from other daily wins. It would be better to wait even longer to open up those packs. You could wait till the end of the set. You could wait until this set's done and the next one's out. You could wait until this rotates and is only Historic and Explorer legal, which would be like 3 years from now. That would be the optimal time to open your packs, but it would be awful to wait 3 years to open your packs. So I would probably do Premier drafts, maybe 10 Premier drafts over 2, 3, 4 weeks maybe, and then open up all my packs, and then just start having some fun in standard constructed, building different decks, seeing how I can improve old decks that I've got, so like mono red, mono blue, enchantments, maybe soldiers, maybe humans, I don't know, see what we can make up, maybe make some new fairy decks or rat decks from the Eldraine cards. Yeah, that's when I'm going to be brewing all my different decks I'm going to make, whenever I've done all these drafts, open all my packs, and then do that. We've also got some other events that might be useful to you, like if you're not very good at draft events, or you don't like draft that much, or you think you aren't going to get 3 wins, we do have quick draft events that will be available for Wilds of Eldraine, but they come out on the 15th of September, and they will cost less to enter, so 5,000 gold instead of 10,000 gold, and the rewards won't scale up as much as they do in the Premier Draft, so it's a lower risk, but you do still get to pick the cards. You get as much time as you want to pick the cards, so it's better for beginners, or it's better if you don't like draft or you want to take more time to read your cards. You can do it then, so from the 15th of September onwards, for about 2 weeks, and then it comes back again on the 10th of October till around the 24th. Well, that's the plan, that's the schedule for it, and then you can do some more quick drafts then if you haven't had enough of drafting by that point. The other thing that is going to come up, the other event, which is coming out on the 12th of September, will be the Midweek Magic for Wilds of Eldraine Constructed. So this week it's Alchemy, and next week it's going to be for Wilds of Eldraine Constructed. The problem is that's going to come out on the 12th of September, and the quick draft is going to start on the 15th of September. Now, the majority of players, or maybe the majority of beginners, will use quick draft to build up their card collection, not necessarily Premier Draft. So it means that this event, this Midweek Magic for Wilds of Eldraine Constructed, is going to come out before a lot of people have been able to build a collection through drafting. And it might encourage some people to open packs earlier or to use wild cards to craft a deck to use in the Midweek Magic event, because the Midweek Magic constructed for Wilds of Eldraine means you can only use cards from Wilds of Eldraine. So if you haven't really opened any yet, you're not going to be able to take part in the event, and you won't be able to win your other rare card rewards and your mystery cosmetic if you do your third one. So you'll need to have some deck to compete in this, but we'll have to be kind of smart about what you use, because it's kind of encouraging you to open your packs earlier, which is slightly worse in terms of optimizing your card collection. So you might decide you want to just open up your packs then, just to jump into the Midweek Magic, or there are certain budget decks you might be able to make, which hopefully I will have a video on just before the Midweek Magic event happens, so you can look at some other things you might be able to craft using any common and uncommon wildcards you have, if you are short on rares and mythics like I am, because I make too many different decks with my rare and mythic wildcards, but I have lots of commons and uncommons, so maybe there'll be some decks we can build around, some budget decks that will do well enough in the Midweek Magic event to get those extra rare cards as rewards. The other thing you want to make sure you do is make sure you have the Mastery Pass. If you think you're going to have enough time to complete the Mastery Pass, and normally there are enough, there's enough opportunity to get the experience points you need to get to the end and maybe have an extra 10 or 20 levels when you get to the end. So for this Mastery Pass, it goes up to level 70. There's probably enough time to get to level 80 or 85. So you don't have to play like every day. It doesn't matter if you take some time off, you can still get to the end. And even if you don't get to the end, you're going to get a lot of benefits from the first part of the Mastery Pass as well. But I'd recommend spending your 3,400 gems, if you have it, on getting the Mastery Pass. Or if you didn't spend the $15 to get the Pass bundle, the pre-order bundle. I'm also going to have a video breaking down the Mastery Pass in more detail to go through the value of it. But short story, spoiler alert, it's really good value, so you might as well just get it. So that's the basics of just building your Wilds of Eldraine collection. Do the Premier Draft if you're comfortable with it, if you think you're going to get at least 3 wins. If not, maybe do the Quick Draft instead. Or if you really just want to avoid drafting entirely, just buy some packs and open them. What I'm going to do is when I'm done with my drafts, I'm going to spend whatever gold I have by that point on some extra packs to get to 50 packs or 100 packs, and then just open them all and start crafting some new decks. But I do have a recent video on my channel about building a collection without drafting, which would apply to Wilds of Eldraine as much as any other set. So if you really don't like draft, you can just do it that way as well. But if you do generally well in draft events, they're more value than just buying packs. So it's just whichever format you prefer. If you hate draft, it's fine to avoid it. If you quite like it, you might get some more value out of it than if you just didn't do it. So I hope that all makes sense. That's the plan I'm going to follow. And if you want to follow along with me and do the same kind of thing, see how that works out for you, then that's great. Let me know in the comments below if that's kind of how you want to approach building a collection for Eldraine, because we know that this set is going to be standard legal for 3 years. So as big a collection as we can build, we're going to get more value over 3 years than if we kind of don't build very much of a collection. We want to enable ourselves to build whatever decks we want in Constructed, and the best way to do that is build the biggest collection of the set. So yeah, that's all we have time for today. Don't forget to leave a comment below, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thanks for watching this video to the end. I will see you in the next one.